What's good? What's good? Here we are back at it again. Another day, another reaction. This not much of a reaction, but I seen a clip from a news media source that said the rise of military influencers, whether that be TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, anything like that. Let me start by saying this, right? I don't consider myself an influencer. I just come on here and chop it up with y'all and make these videos in hopes that you might like it to get some from it, right? If I can drop some gems out there and somebody can pick them up and apply them to their life, then hey, I did my part. So we're gonna check out this clip, man, or this little short video, and we're gonna see what they got to say because I'm interested in hearing. So without further ado, let's get right into it.
As the armed forces continue to see a surge in recruitment, military influencers are on the rise. Now there's some controversy over blurring the lines between personal branding and military ethics. Military personnel are allowed to receive authorization from their commanders to work as an influencer, but it's hard to track if the troops are profiting off their rank. And military guidelines are also vague on certain ways influencers make money. The Army previously launched a creative reserve program to collaborate with influencers, but it's been paused and is pending an ethics review.
Now, okay, me personally, y'all, check this out. Me personally, I think it's a great thing if the military did include influencers in their recruitment or in the things that they do as well, because who better to speak on what's going on inside the military than somebody in the military? Now, why I think this should have a close eye kept on it before this is done, and not being funny, as much research as they do to us for us to get in this thing, I think the same amount of research need to be done on this person before you go to giving them a platform and allowing them to speak, in depth about certain things. But at the same time, I don't see why it's a big deal. Now, if y'all know me, one big thing I don't like is posting videos of you in uniform, on duty, things like that. I'm not big on that. If it's something positive, if you're putting the military in a positive light, then I understand. But we have to understand we do have enemies, we do have domestic threats and things like that. So things like training or doctrine or any of the confidential information that you may have access to, I'm not for it, man, because you putting a lot of people in danger. But at the same time, if it's something positive, if it's something that's putting us in the good light, why not collaborate? You know what I'm saying? And if they making money, why not? I feel like that raises morale. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's a little deeper than that. I ain't gonna go into it, but let's get back to the video.
For me, it's a little bit devil's in the details. Those two guys, Justin Nunley and he goes by Mandatory Fun Day on his accounts. Those are two of my favorites. Justin just retired, and Mandatory Fun Day, I think his name is Austin, is he's still in. They're funny because they make fun of military culture. They're not necessarily, saying use this product or anything like that.
Right.
It's the clicks and views that they garner. It's that kind of grassroots making money.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that in the world. As a matter of fact, this administration has worked with some influencers to help with recruiting and things like that.
Absolutely.
Kevin?
I love this idea. And the truth be told, if you really are into just humor, like Americana, it's so fun. I mean, for me personally, I really enjoy it because it gives me a chance to laugh at some of the things that I know about the military, some of the culture. And I don't mind them making a couple of extra bucks as long as it's within the regs. And I'll tell you why. I know a lot of guys, especially a lot of enlisted guys, and even some officers, they're not living high on the hog here, folks. So if there's a way to figure out a mechanism that they can maybe get some money and put it into a trust, and then when you're out of the military, so long as you're not hawking, a particular product or you're not doing something for Raytheon or something like that, good for you. I want them to have as much cash as they can to take care of their families.
Tommy,
Shout out to that guy, y'all. Shout out to him, man, because mad respect to that. And that's all I'll be saying, because I can speak from a personal angle. Like, a lot of times, just say if we go into the field or we got things that we want to do, heck, sometimes we want to get stuff for ourselves that'll help and contribute to work, right? If it's doing things outside of work, like sometimes you're doing train ups or sometimes you're doing outside training, and you get together with these guys, and we might not have access to all the things that we do on base, so we have to get things outside of that to simulate the things we would do in our training, right? So when it comes to things like that, it helps a lot. Or if we go into the field, just say I want to, like, everybody like energy drinks. I don't drink them, But my guys like energy drinks. I used to go to the field like with a case of these things out my own pocket because I see it's a huge motivator when you in the field and you come through with things like that. Things like Liquid IV, which cost a freaking astronomical dollar to have, but just little small things like that, man, are huge morale boosters in the field. And for your guys to be at their best sometimes, of course, you want them to learn to go without. But then again, you do want them times where you can pick them up with those little small things. And it helps a lot. Sometimes going to training, guys forget to bring this or they forget to bring that, or like snacks when you at NTC. Everybody don't have a jet bull, everybody don't have these things. So you bring extras, or you try to, you try to ration out what you have left for people to have and for people to actually partake in. And so if that's just me, I'm just saying personal. I don't know about everybody, but I've seen other leaders do this as well. Share the little bits and pieces that they have or the extra that they have. Man, it's a huge morale booster. So shout out to him, man. Sometimes that extra money go a long way. And you might think that it's going into their pockets. A lot of times, man, the stuff that we doing, I ain't gonna say it's coming out our own pockets because we have access to certain things, but a lot of things we do, it do be coming out of our pockets, man. And if you in a leadership position, then you understand.
There's a difference between being reserve and active duty. When you're in the reserves, it's expected that you have a job outside of being in the reserves. That's what it's for. For active duty, it's a little bit different. You're on call, especially in the Marine Corps, 24/7. But when I was in EOD school, I had a job at the Abercrombie. I stood in front and said, "Hey, how's it going?" I sprayed everybody with the cologne. I worked it every Saturday and Sunday, and sometimes at night, just to stay out of trouble, make a little bit extra money. This is the newest version of that.
First of all, I'm just still taken aback that you worked at Abercrombie. So I think we need to marinate in that for a moment.
I brought that up. I knew where
Joey, we also want photos of this, and we're going to hold you to that.
Exist.
But listen, you got athletes making all this money at NIL. Why can't our military folks, why can't they make a little money, right? It doesn't bother me. I think that there's definitely a limit on it. I don't want to see the Get Ready With Me videos necessarily, But to that point, we also saw in the previous administration the drag queen recruitment videos, the dudes in dresses, as our Secretary of War would call it. So I'm okay with this. Have a little fun. If it helps recruitment, I'm all for it.
Doc, I'm going to turn to you to be the devil's advocate. When I was in the military, way back in my day, as we say in the old Corps, it was up in the air if we could even have social media, much less use it in a way to reach many people. There are people that get on there and complain about their service, complain about how they're treated, and complain about regulations. And they are called influencers as well.
Yeah, honestly, I was going to be the devil's advocate without you even prompting that, because this is a slippery slope for me. Yeah. I think influencers, they really walk a very tight line. You look at them, a lot of them I look at and I'm like, I'm embarrassed for you. I'm embarrassed for the people you know and those around you. And I'm very concerned that I don't want our military to actually have that persona as well out on the public space. And so my question is, are they needing to be influencers because we're not paying them enough? And if we're not paying them enough, then that's a conversation we need to have with the government about making sure that our military is able to care for their families and themselves. And, yes, sure.
No, go ahead. Yeah,
Okay, to that point now, the military pay has been up in the wind about everything. But once you hit a certain level, especially like these young guys who are doing mad wild promotions, what I'm saying, 24 as an E6, man, you on your stuff. And I've seen it numerous times. But these a lot of us, I ain't gonna say, like he said, you're not living high on the hog. You ain't out here buying a ranch with that money. You're not out here on yachts and going to Dubai with that money and nothing like that. But if you manage it correctly, yes, you're doing okay. You're doing okay. It's equivalent to a regular job once you get to a certain point. So I'm not gonna say we out here balling. You not seeing your average military member E5 just pulling up in a Corvette or pulling up in a Mercedes S-Class. You're not seeing that. Even if they are influencers, you're not seeing them doing nothing crazy like that, man. And maybe they late 30s, early 40s. Now they doing a little bit better. They got a little bit bigger house, something like that. But they're not, no. It's not even for the people who are investing and doing things like that. And if they do, they got it tucked away somewhere for their kids, like he say, in a trust, somewhere for the future and things like that, man. But I do agree with the last lady, the last woman, man. It is a slippery slope because you do have the people that complain. You do have the people that get on here and just down talk the military so bad. And I'm like, if you've done more than one contract, or if you've never had a job, then you shouldn't be on here talking about that. Not like that. Especially for people who never had a job. Because this is what they say, like, okay, if you go to your first duty station and you saying I hate it, well, how do you know you hate it? You have nothing to compare it to. That's more so for the young guys. For somebody that's like 25 plus, you've lived maybe more than likely you've lived a certain amount of life that you have a lot to compare it to. I know I did when I joined, but I do agree it's a slippery slope, man. And I think that's where we should keep a close eye on it. And it's not the social media, platform job. It's not their job to do that. And I ain't gonna lie, for a company commander or for any higher ups that's in a leadership position, it's extremely hard to do that. Now, if somebody catches something and brings it to their attention, that's something different. But to be sitting there going through 200, 300 people's social media, man, like, they would need a heck of an AI tool to do that, to monitor all these accounts, especially people who got burner accounts and fake accounts and things like that. It'll just be extremely hard. But I do agree, man. It is a slippery slope, but for somebody to be able to monitor that, I think, man, it's extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. But nevertheless, let's keep going.
And on top, me up. And then on top of that's if they're active members. Now, if they're doing something to try and promote the military and they're trying to get recruitment, I'm all for that. In fact, military videos are my favorite videos to watch. I get the goosebumps. Fun. They're all Americana, and I love them. But just as we were saying, I don't want to see them going on here hawking like, well, this is the brand of creatine I make, and that's how I am able to be as strong as I am in the military. Like, I don't want to see that.
Kevin, I will say this. I just spoke at something called the Military Influencers Conference, MIC. It happened in Atlanta.
Yep.
They had approached me several years in a row, and I wanted to stay away because I don't fancy myself an influencer. It's kind of icky for me.
Yeah.
But once I learned more about it, what's really cool, like Doug Collins showed up, and it's a great way to reach veterans that don't know how to apply for health care. It's a great way to reach military families with resources. Sometimes the federal government isn't the smartest and best at reaching people.
I think you nailed it. Yeah, a lot of times. You're right. And you know what? And thank goodness for the secretary for doing that.
Yeah.
Good Georgia Bulldog. Love him. I would just say this as well. One of the other things that I like about social media and the use thereof, it really does speak to the younger people. For years, we had sort of a recruitment issue where it was very difficult getting young women and young men to even consider a career in the military. Thanks to the Secretary of War, that's certainly changed. And between you, me, and the fence post and the 1.5 million people who are watching tonight, you are a good example of why you should consider a career in the military. And so maybe you're not doing it per se online every day, but having people like you, veterans who can speak to the good and the bad, I think is a good thing.
I appreciate it.
When he uses his Abercrombie training to make it all look good.
There you go.
That's a story.
Hey, they going hard on my boy about that Abercrombie, man. But I ain't gonna lie, like, look at my guy. Like, back in his days, 10, 15 years ago, like, granted, he probably did like an Abercrombie and Fitch model. Like, let's be honest. But for sure, everything they said, I'm in total agreement of it. For recruitment and marketing purposes, yes, for sure, man. Because one of the biggest ways to reach the youth is through social media. So another thing that they said, a lot of information is pushed out on social media. And I can speak for myself, that's extremely helpful. Like, after I went to the board and I was fighting for points and things like that, there were first sergeants on, Facebook and Reels and YouTube and things like that who were putting out extremely good information. How to keep up with this, how to know this, how to go here and check this. Oh, if you need to go on IPSA, how to do this. Giving you tips and pointers that you can use, to keep up with all these different things. If like your first line, or if you're not getting that information, it's a quick way for you to click on something, see the title, and like, oh, I got that. Oh, I know how to apply for this. Oh, I know how to drop this packet. Or I know how to do this. Those are all things I think is phenomenal, especially when you have certain recruitment crisis, or you have a lack in personnel in certain areas. You see what I'm saying? If that makes sense. So, like, for instance, SOF, one of the biggest ways that they're going to get people in, because I don't see boots on the ground every day. Yeah, they do come and talk to us, but when you see that video of them kicking doors and breaching and doing all this cool stuff, combat lifesavers, and things like that, it does something to you, and you like, oh, I want to try that out. I want to go see. Or for a person that's extremely capable, who doesn't know that's out there or doesn't know how to access that, it like social media gives that person that, that upper hand. It gives them a tool and a resource to go to. It gives them a resource to go to be able to better access these things, because it's so much going on all the time. It's so much coming down the pipe. Like, you can't keep up with everything. None of us can. It's extremely hard, and if it's not getting pushed out of notes, you just don't know. So yeah, man, like, social media is extremely helpful in those ways, and especially for veterans, because a lot of people just don't know. But if you just scrolling down your timeline and you see some good information get pushed out, and you like, okay, you go do your background research and you try this out and they help you, what was the harm in that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't gonna lie, I'm in agreement with this panel. Like, great group of guys and women, great group of men and women. Like, I like what they're saying. So that's all I believe for the video. It's like 13 seconds left. I'm not gonna play the last 13 seconds. It's let me see. Fox News. I don't know which Fox News, but it's on YouTube. If you want to go look at it or look at the entire thing, you can definitely go do that. I'll just respond to this real quick. But that's all I got to say about this video. The rise of social media influencers or military influencers, pros and cons. Yeah, it could be a bad thing. It could be a good thing. I think it does more good than harm, me personally. Now, the complaining and all that stuff, man, please, y'all quit that. Cut it out. Or the posting in uniform while you on duty and things like that. I'm not a huge fan of that at all. Using the uniform to get ahead, to, to better yourself. Yes. But if you're doing it just for personal enrichment, I'm not for that at all. I ain't for that at all, man, because that's not what we here for. We got one job that's first and foremost. And if you're a leader in the military, then you know what your first job is. And it's in your creed if you're in the Army. So with that being said, y'all, I have nothing more for y'all. Y'all have a great night. I'm out.